Welcome, I'm Bev Adams. I own an independent paper crafting business showcasing products from Stampin' Up. I made this card with products from Stampin' Up. I sell these products and also a few items to make crafting more convenient. I have the free detailed directions for this project on my website, and you can just print it out for yourself. It's free. I also have links for the products that I used, and if you click those links, it'll take you to my online store at Stampin' Up. You'll see where to find all of that at the end of this video, so don't worry about taking notes. It's time to put stamps, ink, and paper together. I made this card as a sympathy card. I actually had a couple of them to make, and one of those went to somebody from church, and I also supply the office with cards, sympathy cards to have on hand, and so it's time for me to make more for the church. The directions say to have 3 pieces of very vanilla cardstock, and I have a confession to make. On this card, the only thing on the card front that was very vanilla is this tag. This was actually done on basic white. I use a lot of basic white that is 5 1/4 by 4. I use it for layers on the front. A lot of times I put it on the inside of a card. It's also great for if I just need something to grab to do die cutting or punching or whatever. So I actually take a couple of packs, I think I did 3 packs this time, to my copy shop where they will cut. They charge per cut, but they said that they can do up to, I think, 500 sheets. 500 sheets is quite a lot. I find 2 or 3 packs of basic white is just a lot for me. And I ask them to cut it to size. And so it's really quite cost effective when you have that many cut all at once. And I just love having them on hand. So I've already gone ahead and stamped several of these layers and colored them. And then I decided to make this for a video, so I'm kind of got it ahead of myself here. And I want to start off by showing you how I do this part. And I will use very vanilla this time. So I've got a piece of scratch paper behind me, and I've got some alcohol in a spritzer. And I also have some alcohol in an aqua painter. I've got a piece of window sheet. If you've got a glass mat, which I do, I decided it puts off too much reflection, I think, for the videos. But it's kind of nice to be able to brush off here. You can brush off here, but this uses less ink this way. My ink is Old Olive, and I'm also going to be using Memento Tuxedo Black. But for this part, it's just the Old Olive, and I'm using a blending brush and brushing it off here, and that moves the ink from the very surface of the brush. So you get less of these bold, but if you get those, that's fine. Especially right in the middle, because that'll be covered up. But I want to avoid that if I can. You do not really want to have this being totally even and smooth. Areas of lighter and darker are nice, but I do think it's nice to have dark for this procedure. We're going to be doing this technique with the alcohol. Kind of especially want the dark around the edges, although I do want, this is Old Olive, but when you get it really dark, it kind of blends with the mossy meadow I'm going to use for the card base. So I don't want it totally dark green around the edge. I think we'll go with that. And then we're going to spritz this a little bit. And I actually want, if you've got a low cost spray bottle, that actually might be better. This one from Stampin' Up! Is actually a nice fine mist, and we kind of want blobs. So that's why I'm using the water painter. And by the way, when I first got my water painter and I tried to unscrew it, go righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, right? Well, lefty-loosey on these pens is actually lefty-tighty and righty-loosey. And so I do want to get some alcohol, even if it drips, that's totally fine. Because I'm actually wanting quite a bit of spatter here. So I'm squeezing the water painter and flicking. If you don't like having one big one, you can actually add some more dots in here. But see how this is pushing the ink away? That's what you want to have happening. And so there's lots of splatters here. Let me see if I can put some more splatters down here. There are some. And then I'm going to set this aside to dry. And so obviously every one that you do is going to be a little bit different. So we'll set that aside. Meanwhile, we'll go ahead and stamp the large rose. So you will need the big E block for this. Using Memento ink, which is the recommended ink to use when you're using, we're going to be using some stamping blends to color this. And we're going to be cutting it out. So pretty. And I'm also going to use the old olive to ink my greeting down here, where we have plenty of room. I'm going to use the really large leaves for the inside layer in the old olive. And so it's kind of almost a squared off corner there, so I'm going to go ahead and put it there. We can go ahead and put this on the inside of the Mossy Meadow. I use liquid glue, but you could certainly use really any of the adhesives for this. I'm going to go ahead and punch my label out, and I kind of want this near the top, so we'll go with that. And then I'm going to color the roses, and for me, I'm making yellow roses. I want a little bit of orange, and so where it's really dark, I'm going to put some orange down. Where it's shaded, I want to define the difference between, I want to define from one petal to the next. So if you put the dark colors where it's shaded underneath, that will look pretty. And then I'm using the dark Daffodil Delight and going over, whoops, I want to use the bullet tip, going over a little bit and kind of blending that together. Just adding another separation there. Most of the roses I want to look pretty yellow, so I'll be depending on the light yellow for that. And my light daffodil delight, I think it's pretty juicy because I think what I did was I added some alcohol, hoping I could stretch it out a little bit. Not a good plan, so I probably need to buy some more daffodil delight. But it is allowing me to stretch it out, but I definitely should have used less alcohol. And then I've got Old Olive. And so for the Old Olive, I'm really just kind of going next to the flowers and down the middle and maybe a little off to the side. Not doing very much with the dark. Oops, I left out these roses. Can't tell you how many times I have skipped something when I do this. I think I'm getting all the parts. Of course I don't. I like this stamp set because, or this stamp in particular, because you can really have it facing any way. You can rotate it and be having it vertical, horizontal. You've got kind of roses. You can have either one of these being the top part. So using the light Old Olive, really just coloring these in at this point. Between the shading that Stampin' Up! Did on the stamps, I think it's one of those distinctive stamps. And the way the stamping blends, kind of blend the colors together on their own. It really does most of the work for you. When you're done, if you take a look and see if there's places that you look like it needs to be blended a little bit more, you can go in and kind of do these little circles. To blend it. Then I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, so I'm going to lift you up a little bit. I'm going to start with die cutting, so I need my #1 platform, my thin #2 die cutting plate, my cut up plate, my cardstock, and the die. This one's really pretty easy to get aligned correctly. Cover it up. My tip for covering it is if you put the end down first and then just drop this down, then it's not so easy for this to move around before you cut it. And then I'm also going to take off the die cutting plate and take away both clear plates and get out my 3D embossing folder. And because this is alcohol, it's mostly dry. Isn't that pretty? I really like that. If this was not a sympathy card, I might be tempted to splatter it with Wink of Stella too. And then I need to cover it with the number 4 dark gray plate. Pretty. And then we're ready to put it together. So I'm just going to put this on my card base. Oh, before I do that, I want to put the ribbon on. I'm glad I remembered. So I've got my silicone just to help me out. I have this gorgeous, gorgeous ribbon. This is very vanilla ribbon. And this is one of the online exclusives, and it's just, I can't tell you how soft it is. This is, I wonder if this is actually sewing ribbon that would hold up to plenty of washes and things. I want to put my tag on first. And this one, I had this not very covered up. I think I'm going to cover it up a little bit more. So I want to put this a little bit higher, maybe about there. So I'm going to put adhesive on the back, there. A little bit lower. I don't want to cover up my words. There. And then I want to go ahead and put a row of adhesive across here. Now, if I were sewing with this ribbon, it would be, I would actually use an iron to make pleats. And I saw a sewing hint that they use cardboard, but it didn't seem to work so much with the adhesive. So I want to just kind of fold that. And I do want to finger press this. I want to put a mini glue dot here so that it holds it down. And I want to get this folded as nice as I can. But again, without an iron, it won't do totally flat. I'm using just a 1/2 inch piece of cardboard. So this is where I want my, so I'm going to slide that out and move this down a 1/2 inch and fold it up. And kind of finger press there. So when you finger press, you can kind of see where the glue dot should go. Anywhere in this 1/2 inch section, really. I want to get this lined up as straight as possible. And repeat. So I guess this cardboard strip does help a little bit to get these even, if nothing else. Finger press here. And this is our last pleat. And we'll just take that all the way across there. And I think that looks pretty. And then we'll just add a little bit more adhesive on the back. Snip it off. And fold it around. Put this on my card front, centering it. this one on. Before I put that one on though, I do want to show you, do you see how this is a little too harsh? Even if we were not using this very vanilla, I think that that's too harsh here. Let me show you what I did though on my sample. Is I took the light lemon yellow, or lolly lemon, lemon lolly, light lemon lolly, and colored that. And it really actually, it is maybe a little bit more lemony or yellow than the very vanilla. When I'm done here, we can compare it and see. And I was also wondering about maybe coloring it in with the light old olive. That might work. You do want to get all these little corners and so forth. Everywhere there's white showing. So comparing them. So anyway, there you have it. So I'm going to put this on with dimensionals. And like I said, either side can be pretty. This is actually the opposite one of this one. So I'll leave it here and you can decide for yourself. And that helps hold this down too. So what do you think? So if you decide the edges of your die cuts are a little too bright, try coloring it in with a Stampin' Blends. Here is the web address for this project, where you'll find the free detailed directions and links for the products I used. Just click the links and you'll be taken to my online store at Stampin' Up. Click Home near the top of my page and you'll find lots of resources. Under Shop, you can find the products I offer to make crafting more convenient. How to get free products with my frequent shopper rewards, and a link to my online store at Stampin' Up. Click Inspiration to scroll all my projects back to 2011, most with detailed directions and videos. Though the products in those older projects have been retired, you may find techniques, layouts, or color combinations to inspire you today. If you're new to stamping, you might want to look at the basics. You'll find how to cut card bases and layers, and some of my favorite tools. Under Organization, you'll find lots of free resources such as catalog tabs, labels and case inserts, color tools, and much more. More organization means more time for stamping. You can learn about my Evernote notebook. I have a note for every current product that Stampin' Up! Has for sale right now. It really makes finding just exactly what you want very easy. And you can create your own notebook and search through all of the things that you own to find just what you need. Come stamp with me here in Ventura County, California, or get the best deal of all and join my team of crafters. The team is called Sip Together, and it stands for Stamps, Ink, and Paper Together. Be sure to subscribe to my website and on my YouTube channel. I'd love to hear your comments. Thanks for joining me. Talk to you soon.